The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich.
That's me.
There she is. We are a podcast dedicated to giving a voice to the disability community. We do that by having those with a disability on to tell their stories and the organizations that provide programs, services, and support to the community on to share what they do. I am a polio survivor, crutch and brace user for years, and then transitioned into a wheelchair over the last 20 years or so. And you?
I have cerebral palsy that I showed up on the planet with. I use a walker when I go out and about and heading toward a wheelchair more consistently.
Very nice. All right. So how was your week? Anything exciting? Come on. Got to come up with something here.
I know. No, I mean, it was a smooth week, which everybody wishes for.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Everybody
good.
hopes for a smooth week. And then the weather was kind of nice. And then the weekend was freezing. And we had like tornadic winds. So glad those are over with.
Yeah. Yeah, it got nice. Well, it rained for a few days here and then got a beautiful weekend. Actually, the sports fair I went to on Saturday, it just beautiful, crystal clear. That was in Burbank. I went last year.
Yeah.
And then went back this year, and you could tell it had grown. And they installed a new playground there at the park in Burbank. That is, you know how most parks, you've got all the play stuff for the kids, and then it's either in sand or something like that.
Yes.
Well, this is all a rubberized material.
Oh, so it's
much
accessible.
more accessible. Absolutely. And somebody said, and I'd never considered this, stupid me, but, because you think of it for the user, at least. That's the way I look at it, so it's accessible for the kids. Well, it's like somebody mentioned, and I'm like, duh. So, the disabled parents can get in there and help their kids get on the equipment too. So it's accessible for them too.
That makes sense, right?
Yes,
like we never fully... Ding dong, Avon calling. Yeah. Got it. Nice.
So that was fun. No update on the smart drive, but I'm going to Abilities Expo here in a couple of weeks, and
I know that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and Permobile, who manufactures these now, is going to be there, and they always have they bring some mechanics with them, and they'll work on your wheelchair, work on your smart drive, and do all that.
Be like, here, you guys can have this.
Well, I don't know if I'll come in with all guns blazing, but definitely going to have that conversation.
Be like, I'm not trying to kill the messenger, but
this thing's trying to kill me.
Right.
Oh man.
Like Gremlins, or what is that? What is it? Short Circuit.
Short Circuit. Yeah, the
little movie with the little robot.
Yeah. My robot has a mind of its own.
Yes.
You know what? Too, and I wanted to mention this. I made a little note here. Nice job on the random questions episode we did. I kind of threw that at you out of left field at the last minute, but you handled that very well. That was fun. People seem to enjoy it.
As long as I don't have, I'm not physically standing on a stage with 3 zillion people looking at me, and I don't think how many people are listening.
Then you're light on your feet.
We're all good. Yeah, good. I can be light on my feet in front of my dogs, but.
Very good. And then also a thank you to Miriam. She listens all the time, and she was who put me in touch with Tara's Chance and Matt.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then she also sent out an email, which she included me on, to her friends, I guess. I couldn't see anybody else on the list, but it looked like from what she said that she was sending it out and telling people that there's something you might enjoy. So thank you, Miriam, for sharing that. And my other final update, remember, how long has it been? Maybe closing in on 6 months ago when I bought all that chicken. Did I tell you?
Oh my God, I saw that on the prep sheet and I was like, are we talking about chicken? I was like, did you finally finish your chicken?
Yeah, I finally finished it. Yeah, I ate the last of the chicken. I forget what episode that was back a while. I ordered 6 pieces of chicken, through the online. I don't know if it's everywhere, but here it's Instacart. Yeah, yes. And I guess it wasn't pieces I was ordering. I got 6.
Reading was not the strong suit of somebody that day.
Well, in my defense, there's pictures, and the way they so there's pictures, and you can go through, depending on the item, there's 4, 5, 6 pictures. Well, when you show me an individual chicken breast,
I know.
I think that's what I'm getting.
We talked about that before. We both been the victim of that. Yeah. Like where I order like 7 pounds of grapes when I'm thinking I'm getting one. Yeah, been there, done that. It's a small first world problem to have with someone else
very
groceries. But Doug finished his chicken, people.
Man, I did it every way imaginable too. Spaghetti chicken and chicken with carne asada. And I got some
I never want to see chicken for the next 6 months.
It was good though. I love chicken. All righty. Thank you to Randy Plummer who came on last week. Great job. Randy. Great job. Nice to learn all about that. Sorry you're going through that, but he's got a great attitude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then finally, don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you would, if you enjoy what we do here at all. And we'd love to hear your comments, whatever you want to say, or if you have questions for either one of us, that would be awesome. Want to get to know you a little better. And if you have any show suggestions, something that you'd like to hear us talk about, or a person that you'd like us to interview, please pass that along. We would love that. All right, coming up today, it's an interview with Zimri Solis. He is a triple amputee and a Paralympic athlete with a great story. So we will do that right after this word from Addie Professional Training.
At Addie Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Addie is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Addie Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
Stories shared in every heart. Healing starts to play its part. In this journey we unite, shining with the glowing light.
And we are back. You're listening to Walk and Roll Live, and today's guest is Zimri Solis. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you got it.
Very good.
Zimri, yes.
He is a triple amputee and a Paralympian and so much more, and we're going to learn all about it today on this episode of Walk and Roll Live. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, just trying to enjoy the day off today, and the kids not going to school, so I'm able to just sleep in and have a lazy day for one.
It's like gold, right?
Right, for sure. Definitely
Those are
time
my favorite.
Are you still competing?
No, actually, as of I think last December, I announced my retirement officially. Just a lot going on. I'll speak more on that, but I felt like it was just time for me to rack it up and look forward to new endeavors and possibly new challenges and opportunities that obviously involve my family, because I think I take a lot of time away that it's now time to give back.
Yeah, between training and traveling and competing. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So definitely now I'm looking forward to this new chapter in my life, and it's a bittersweet because triathlon is part of my life and has been for many years, and to finally just say goodbye to the sport, at least at a competitive level, it was kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. Definitely want to hear about what's the future looks like for you. If you have a kind of an idea of what you're striving for but want to kind of start at the beginning. And so where were you born? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Mexico, and I was my parents brought me over here when I was very little. Pretty much this has been our life as a child. Very active, played many sports, and growing up I was just a natural athlete, I guess. And growing up, my parents they weren't as wealthy, and they struggled, to find a place for us to live in, and then basically support us financially. And so growing up, I was able to visualize, what challenges, I wanted to learn from, so that I would try to basically compensate growing up and not encounter the same challenges. And so, when I was in elementary, I contracted a virus called meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much where everything I want to say my life started. I didn't know where I got it. It was basically airborne. One day I came home, we had dinner, and then as we're having dinner, I started feeling a fever, and so telling my mom I don't feel good. My mom says, let me give you some medicine. Took my temperature. Temperature's not going down. And then at some point in time, she decided that we were just going to go to the ER because the fever wasn't going down. I took a bath in ice water.
Yes.
And I literally melted the ice. That's how hot I was. And my parents ended up taking me to Montclair Hospital. And, I remember us arriving, and, natural reaction for hospitals is they don't, assist you and take care of you depending on the severity of the illness, of course.
Yep.
And so when I got there, they just felt like, regular fever, we'll just get him in, eventually. And it wasn't until I started vomiting blood that they realized that something more serious was happening. And so I remember laying down next to the heart rate monitor, and I think I flatlined. So I was 10 years old when that happened. I got put into a room. And so the helicopter's arriving. My parents go outside. And, little did they know that the helicopter was there for me. As I'm being pushed out on the incubator, my parents said that my facial appearance was kind of just not normal. I was swollen. I was basically pretty like purplish looking, and the virus was already taking effect.
How long was that from when you arrived to when the helicopter arrived for you?
It must have been maybe no more than an hour.
Okay, so it was a quick, rapid downgrade.
Escalation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
escalation of issues.
right away that something serious was so they took action immediately. When I got picked up from that hospital, I was airlifted from Montclair to Loma Linda. And at which point in time, even the captain of the helicopter concurred that my vitals stopped and my heart stopped.
Just to underscore how kind of important that air flight was, for our listeners that are listening in other cities, other countries, other states, a drive from Montclair to Loma Linda would be maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So I think it underscores how important getting you there as quickly as possible and getting a helicopter really speaks to it,
to
right?
Take you, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, it might have been 10 minutes.
Yeah, the ride.
And when we landed at the rooftop of the hospital, I was pronounced dead. At some point in time, it even got to the point where my parents told the doctors told my parents that there was really nothing they can do anymore, but just see, wait and see. And my mom even said that people from the morgue was coming to see her, and it was just coming kind of crazy. And so I guess during that time, I shed a tear down my eye, and somehow my vitals came back, and my heart started pounding. And so the doctors immediately plugged me back in, and they told my parents that I had a very small chance of survival. But in order for that to happen, they were going to have to stop the virus from spreading. And so I was put into an induced coma. And I was in a coma for about 5 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And so at which point they amputated my right leg and below my knee, and then my fingers on my right hand, and then my left hand completely. During the coma, I always talk about, the things that I kind of remember. It is true what they say in movies where you do have reminiscences and your life does flash before your eyes and stuff like that. And I have a lot of stuff, strange things that happened to me that I looked at, that I dreamed, that I saw. But I always talk about the one that really sat well with me, which was I felt God spoke to me and told me that I was like a piece of bread. And when bread molds, we tend to take that piece of bread off and still eat the rest of the bread. And so growing up, seeing how me and my brothers struggle with my parents to the point where sometimes we had nothing to eat. And I had to go grab a spoon of peanut butter just to eat the peanut butter so that I wouldn't be as hungry. And so that kind of sat well with me as a message from God to tell me, hey, you remember that piece of bread you normally eat? You take that piece of bread off and you still eat the rest of the bread. Well, that's kind of what you are in representation. And you're still a good piece of bread. And so, long story short, that's kind of what helped me rehabilitate my mind. Mm-hmm. Because most importantly, my mind had to be rehabilitated before my body did. And so I told my mom when I woke up from a coma, I told my mom about that dream, and her not realizing how I was going to react to me waking up and seeing my limbs gone was kind of shocking for her. It's like, what is my son going to say? What is my son going to do? And so, as I told her my dream, and I told her I embraced my change, it was pretty satisfying to know that her kid at 10 years old was very mature enough to understand the changes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a huge, huge thing, right? Like, because, you're going to pop back in, and how do you handle that as a child and as just a human who's like, now what? How does this?
Exactly.
Yeah. You got a guidance because you needed it. They knew if we don't tell him how it is, this is going to be rough.
Of course.
Now, were you cognizant of the change in time, or was 5 months 5 minutes?
That's kind of how it was, actually. I woke. I wasn't aware. I didn't even know if years passed. Yeah. I was kind of just processing everything. Woke up. I could tell you that the first thing I asked for was a cup of water and some seafood.
You're like, I'm ready for some seafood.
Yeah, for some reason, I woke up asking for seafood, and it was kind of funny at the same time. And
was that something you liked before the whole incident, or was that a newfound pleasure?
I mean, I've ate it before, growing up as a kid, but it wasn't something where like, oh, that's one of my favorite foods.
Something your body was craving. Mm.
Yeah, it was something that my body was craving, and when I woke up, and my mom was even like, "Wow, that's crazy," but like, bet, well, I'll get it, And she brought it. She brought it the next day, so it's some of those things, the little things that I remember that are very engraved in my memory, that I really just like talking about it,
Yeah.
So how was it like going back to school and that kind of thing? Were people like just just amazed that you would, or did they know the story?
No, it was challenging. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's probably one of my most challenging years. Um, because I was in a wheelchair for a few months because there was still healing to be done.
Yeah.
On my limbs, and so I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't even know anything about prosthetics. To be honest, I didn't even know they existed during that time. And so, um, when I went back to school, obviously there was some. I'm being looked at differently. I'm being isolated, and at some point even bullied. And um, when I got fitted into a prosthetic, I felt like a part of me. I had recovered a part of me. Um, me thinking I'm not gonna walk no more, and all of a sudden now taking baby steps is just like a big leap and relief at the same time, knowing that hey, this might not be all bad.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it was like kids were looking at me like, "Well, it's not that bad actually to be around this guy," because I want to say I am very I have a good sense of humor. I put things into perspective where people are just going to be like, "Wow, you're even making fun of your own disability," and it's like, yeah, why not? Like I'm comfortable with that, and so
So
uh,
we're audio only, but he is wearing a shirt that says personality 9 out of 10. So you turned him around, looks 8 out of 10, and then legs 1 out of 2. Did you have that specifically made? You didn't just find that shirt on the rack, did you?
no, I actually ordered some shirts. I have a shirt. I have this one that I ordered from online that I came across and I liked it, and then I have this other shirt um, that I bought that says, "With one leg, I run better than the government."
I like that one.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I think Doug and I are also on the train of like, if you can't make levity of it, then that's the real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I do random gravity checks all the time.
Were you you were athletic? You said as a kid, but were you a runner or more baseball, stick and ball stuff?
Actually, I was more into soccer. Soccer
Okay.
was it was in my blood, my family, and so
Yeah.
I picked up soccer again in elementary as I got my prosthetic, but I wasn't the greatest, but I was part of the team, and so it made me feel good.
Yeah.
Now
at that time, your prosthetic was that the prosthetic that you used, kind of your day to day prosthetic. Because I know there's that kind, and then there's the specialty ones that are for competing, which I imagine you got later.
I use my day to day for soccer.
Yeah.
At that time, obviously, I was very limited on resources and information on whether there was even things for me to play other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, I mean, even running blades, I had no knowledge of.
Yeah.
So when I graduated elementary, and I came into middle school, it was more so when I started feeling comfortable with my disability.
Mm-hmm.
I started to kind of hang around with other people, and even though I was still kind of just hide my hands in my sweater from time to time, I was coming out slowly and kind of embracing the changes and stuff like that. But I think I want to say it wasn't until high school that I really just kind of fully came out and embraced my disability. Um, I played. I tried out for soccer for high school. I made the team, and then I played 4 years in high school. And then somebody said, why don't you try to play football? And I was like, what? Are you crazy? Me, football with one leg? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. And so I'm that type of person that you tell me like, yeah, you probably can't do it, or you're probably scared. You're definitely gonna see me challenge myself in doing it. And so my friends said that they were gonna try for football, and I shouldn't go try out, and I did. Um, and I made the football team. I played 4 years in high school, and um, I went from becoming this shy timid, very unsocial kid to the most popular kid in high school, you know, all kinds of friends, and he's disabled but plays this, does that. And so I was very happy, you know. I was living my best life, my best years in high school, and nobody can stop me. And right after high school, I had to shift gears. Even though I was so motivated in my education, I had to shift gears because um, I ended up having a baby with my high school sweetheart, which, you know, obviously didn't end up with my high school sweetheart, but you live and learn. I had a baby girl, and now I needed to provide for my kid, and so, you know, I paused my education for a little bit just to try to get a job. And it was at that point, even that in itself was hard because, you know, how do you feel hiring a person with, you know, multiple limb loss like myself, you know? And I didn't judge people for it. I understood. And
You know, can I take a moment, Zimri, just to ask you, how do you approach that? Just for, you know, other people that are listening and maybe at the same point that, you know, now that where you were then and you're going into a job interview, do you bring attention to it? Do you, you know, just come in and, you know, and let it come up as it comes up organically? How do you deal with that?
So I think first and foremost, I think what's important nowadays for even employers to kind of learn from it and have a better approach on their end is acquiring information and be resourceful, right? Just because a lot of people don't understand the things that we go through and the challenges. And so as an employer, I think it's important that we promote equality and diversity. And so be able to give equal opportunities to people that can perform, you know. And so as a disabled person, I think you know, it doesn't necessarily need to come out the same way. But I think for me, what was important is that I came in very transparent into an interview for the first time. I was like, hey, I know what you're going to ask. And yes, I do have a disability. And look, I did have this and this did happen. But I can tell you that in my years, I've learned to A, B, and C. And so now I'm here and this is what I can offer. And so, you know, it's funny. I'm saying this, but I kind of tackle my interviews like I tackle my relationships. You know, I want to say, you know, not to get into this discussion about relationships, but even me when I got with my wife, that's exactly how I came to. You know, it's like, hey, this is me. This is the disability I have. This is what I can offer. You're in or you're out. You know, and
Doug and I, we get into relationship conversations, and I'm a lot like you, Zimri, that I'm like, this is me. I don't know. I can't change it. So you decide if that's something you can handle.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you find the right person, they're like, who cares? Okay, moving on. My husband is from Argentina, so I totally get the soccer thing and culture stuff.
Yeah. Well,
It also kind of leads me to another question to rewind you back a little bit. For your parents who are coming from Mexico and not from the States, were they speaking enough English to really understand what's going on, or like they kind of lost in the translation confusion, or how is that for them? Because it's a different world.
Well, my mom was a little rusty with the language.
Okay.
And kind of, I want to say she has a big accent now. But she learned in the process to kind of, you know, be a little bit literal with the language. And so my dad, on the other hand, was raised in Chicago.
Okay.
And so as a kid, he went to school in Chicago. So that was kind of helpful for them to be able to understand everything was going on, you know?
Yeah. Because I mean, I know with my in-laws, they've lived here like over 30 years, but they still speak Spanish at home. So sometimes when you're trying to like explain something, they're sort of lost. And I can't imagine being sort of lost in a medical situation where you're trying to like say, hey, this is happening to your son, and them feeling like lost in like, who's going to help us find resources? You were talking about like limited resources. Well, who helps them find it? Because there aren't a lot of advocates in the middle to say, okay, now your son is differently abled. You know, it's like a twofold. One, they now have a different child, and two, like, how do they find the same culture and community who understands?
Exactly.
Right. So I'm sure it was different for them to bring you home and be in a different environment too, and for you to adapt, because there is different cultural things that exist in Hispanic communities, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, my job is to move things along, and and there's so much stuff I want to cover with you. So I want to make the transition to, your transition when you now a runner and competing in triathletes or triathlons.
Yeah.
So, after many years of, adapting, I got a job, I progressively build my work history.
Yeah.
So
you got a job doing what?
As a material handler, just for the very first time, just kind of like tossing cases on a conveyor belt. And from there, I kind of just endured more experience and then got acquired another job. And so today I've been in my job for 12 years, going on 12 years. I am an operations manager for a logistics company that services customers with temperature control, like Sam's, Walmart,
Okay.
And so in doing so, I wanted to become part of a community outreach program that can allow me to give back, on my spare time. And so obviously I found possibilities.
Yeah.
My prosthetist referred me to possibilities, and it kind of just shift gears for me. Possibilities has been very, very giving and supportive. They've been on my corner ever since day one, and they transitioned me into the person or part of the person that I am today. My family has been a huge support system for me. My wife has been in my corner, my kids, in the process of me being able to flex, going to visit patients on my free time, share my story. And so one day, Possibilities, as you may already know, they host a triathlon every year. And so I was invited to compete in the triathlon, and I'm just like, what's even triathlon? And so they said, I was going to need a running leg. And so somebody let me borrow a running leg. And so now I'm ready. And I had a bike that I needed to use. Somebody let me borrow a fixie bike. Obviously, it's one gear, and people are thinking I'm crazy for doing it. And I'm just like, I'm just going with the flow, whatever. And so I end up showing up for the triathlon. I competed. I obviously my body was just banged up.
Yeah. What year was that, Zimri?
This was I actually have the picture right here of my first triathlon. And this was in 2015.
Oh, cool.
2015. And so I show up to the triathlon, and so obviously I fell, I banged on my body. I was almost crying because it was just brutal. And so I crossed the finish line, and as I crossed the finish line, I felt like, I had accomplished something huge, and it was very satisfying. And despite of my challenges and my disability, I was able to just finish it. And so from that day forward, I endured a passion for the sport. Started just recreationally competing, and it went from one month to a few months, and now I'm competing a year. Then they encouraged me to apply for the Paralympic training program. I applied, and I got picked up as one of the sponsored athletes. And now I have a coach, I have a nutritionist, and basically I'm training every day.
You're legit.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, so you're legit.
Yeah. So
It's a
then
life.
now I had I was juggling work, I was juggling family. Now I'm competing, I'm traveling, competing about eight races a year, and um, made it to nationals a couple times. And the last time I went to nationals was in 2023 or 2024, I think. And I got it. I got second. Oh, 2022. Sorry, 2022. I went to nationals and I took second place in para nationals championships, and that was kind of like a thorn in my shoe that I wanted to pull out, because the previous year I had got DQ'd for my sock on my prosthetic flying off the racing lane, and so a lot of stuff happened, but that's pretty much how I transitioned into triathlon. Um, and it kind of just got to the point where it was just too much to juggle because of the time spent and dedicated to the training. Where now, I'm 6 kids deep. I have a beautiful wife that works for urgent care, and me with my job, it was just a lot for us to. I can't be selfish. My kids wanted to play sports, and so fast forward, we bought our house out in Hemet, and now we're kind of just living life, working on a daily and taking the kids to school, soccer practice, soccer games for the kids, and just we're a big village trying to make it work every day.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. So do you do motivational speaking?
I do. I actually do a couple of schools. I've done a church. I've been to different events. I went to visit a school robotics class, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and donated some of my supplies that I don't use no more for their prototype. And I feel like this is my mission.
Yeah. What kind of message do you give the kids?
I just want to. I say, I always live by this motto: "It's not what we go through, it's how we go through it."
Yeah.
And whether you're physically challenged or not, I think there's always opportunities for you to learn about the disabled community, and so you'd be surprised the benefits and the incentives that come with that. So that's the message I give. Always live by what your heart tells you, and not by what others around are telling you.
I like it. I like it. And then mentoring, are you still doing that? Peer support?
Yes. On call, possibilities will reach out and say, "Hey, you have time or a day for you to talk to a patient?" I'll say yes. I'm available this day, and then somehow, some way in the mix, we'll make it work. And I always feel like I learned something, even myself, from every peer visit.
Amazing.
I like that too, because
Zimri needs 3 Zimris though.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Sounds
between
like it, yeah.
all those children and a job and a life and a this and a that. So
And you're still competing a little bit?
Recreationally. So
Gotcha.
if I say, "Hey, there's a triathlon happening in whatever city," I'm not doing nothing. Let's go. I'll go do it.
Yeah.
Because I still train. That's just part of me and who I am. I still run every day. I still, work out. I still get on my bikes, and so that's just my lifestyle now. So if somebody was to tell me, "Let's wake up today and go do a triathlon," I pretty much will do it.
Yeah.
yeah. So what does training look like though? Like if you were to explain a training day, a recreational training day, because you're no longer training professionally.
And before you do that, explain to our listeners what a triathlon is. What are the 3 disciplines?
So there's two types of triathlons, and there's a reverse. There's a bunch of different triathlons, but an official race for me was 750 meters in the open water ocean. coming back, taking the wetsuit off, jumping on your running leg. Jumping to transition, put on your cycling leg, and then go ride for 20 miles, and then get off the bike, take off the biking leg, put on the running leg, and finish the race with 3.1 mile run. And so that's kind of what a triathlon is.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's baby triathlons where they're reverse, where you're running first, you're biking second, and then you're finishing off swimming maybe in the pool.
Yeah.
But those are very small and those are very, very recreational.
That's the one they got me in. Possibilities got me in by doing the triathlon. Yeah. And I was not an athlete before that, just so you know.
Oh, I told Zimri I'd pass out. I'd do one lap and be like, and we're good.
Right.
Yeah. Especially the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, I know how to swim, but do I want to go swim? I don't know. I prefer to watch children in the pool.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster. And like I said, every race, I do feel that it has its own story and something you can speak on that help you get through the race. And
So you talked at the beginning about some of your future plans, some things. Are they coming together, or what do you got in store?
Well, yeah, I'm staying humble. Like always, every opportunity I get thrown at me, I take it for what it is, which is, a learning opportunity and development for me. When it comes to work, I'm definitely am trying to grow and develop further into my career. I would like one day to be, become a regional manager, which that's in my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I would like, for us to eventually buy another house and move back down closer to work. But that one's just going to take some time for us to find the right time. My wife is currently in school and working and being a mother and a wife. And so that's also part of my goal. I would like for her to graduate, finish her schooling and she's studying to become a PA. And so once she graduates, she definitely could look for more of a work-life balance and being able to provide for her kids at a more easier and comfortable pace. So they're coming together. They're just, obviously we're not rushing anything. Time will take its course. And so we're just staying positive about every day we come across.
Sounds like some good goals. Very
right.
Good. So you go and you mentor and you do peer supports. Can I ask, who was that for you? Who inspired you? Who influenced you?
I want to say that I think to become a peer support, I think Cody Williams, which is the director of the program, was one of my biggest mentors. That she always saw me as a leader, and she always saw me as someone that can be very impactful to the community. And so she saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself, that I felt like she helped me approach that opportunity. And, family, I think without the support of the family being there, I think not a lot of things get done. And so my wife has always shown a lot of support by making me feel that, hey, babe, you know what? I love what you do. I love what you represent. I love that you help people. I love your heart. Like all those things kind of fed me the motivation that I needed to being able to, go out there and help people in the way that I can, at least, and that's kind of the motivational piece. And then you have Lauren as well. That's part of the program that also was there with Cody and encouraging me, like, man, we love what you do. I love seeing this. I love seeing that. And so I think those those three factors really played a big role in being able to provide that for patients.
Yeah, another thing too, because it sounds like you're a thoughtful guy, and I can see where you're very purposeful in not only the athletic side, but the being a leader in the community. So, is there something that you could, maybe some words of wisdom for maybe some new people that are just coming to disability? Because that's happening all the time, and then also maybe speak to our able-bodied audience about being a little bit more open-minded and aware.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, for people with disabilities that are newbies, right, or recently injured, whether it's physically or mentally, I want to say every challenge and every disability is different, and we tackle it different. But at the end of the day, we all should have the right mindset. And going back to the model that I live by, it's not what we go through, it's how we go through it. And so allowing yourself to explore and understand that there's light at the end of the tunnel is what's going to help you. Being limited to the information you need is not going to help you. The perception you have of the word itself, disability, is not going to help you. So you definitely need to educate yourself. You need to, get involved and be around people that have been there, done that, and are now being either successful, they're being comfortable, they're being, happy with themselves and what their new image or their new challenges, and so education on that specific topic would be powerful. And challenge yourself. I think this is huge. Challenge yourself like you've never done before, because by challenging yourself, you'd be surprised at the things that you can do without knowing you can do them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so for those that you obviously see disability as something different, I would definitely also look at it as educational. Being able to access things that can expose you to people with disabilities is definitely powerful. And you know what? I want to say that God provides blessings in so many ways, and so I feel like when you make that commitment to allow yourself to even just learn, your heart will be filled with so much joy and happiness to know that you learned something you've never knew. And so, that in itself, even I've been a witness of being so empowered in the face of people, even to the point where, like, I had people that didn't even know that there was, Paralympics. It's like, how do you not know Paralympics? It's Olympics with people with disabilities. And so it was kind of sad, but at the same time, I felt happy to being able to enlighten people and bring some information that was going to just blow their mind. And it's like, wow, I didn't know there was this. And so that in itself, people that are out there that want to know, I highly encourage you to learn more about the different disabilities and what the resources and the community have to offer.
Yeah. In Southern California, we are so fortunate. There are so many programs like Possibilities, Triumph Foundation, CAF, Angel City. They're just everywhere. I went to an expo this past weekend in Burbank, their second annual adaptive sports expo. So those are all around the corner. And I would caution somebody who is going to challenge themselves, like Zimri was talking about. The people around you may want to, in their love for you, try to protect you. So you may have to be strong to kind of break through those barriers that the people that love you most may place in front of you.
Of course.
Right, Zimri?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, I think those are great words. Challenge yourself. So you know what your limits are, and you may surprise yourself. I think you will more times than not. So
yeah, you gotta also have to, as an able body, allow us to ask for help. Don't, a lot of people assume, oh, he needs help. Oh, I need to, approach him different. No.
Yeah.
Let us dictate how things need to go, because a lot of the times, I mean, for me, I really don't care, but a lot of people may see it as an insult, where like, hey, you need help, I got you. No, I don't need your help. And I'm not ashamed of asking for help if I need it, but I will encourage able-bodied to understand that you got to let us dictate and allow us to let you know when the help is needed.
Yeah, I'm aging, so I ask for help a lot more than I used to. So
no, that's okay.
That's okay. Absolutely. Well, anything that we didn't touch upon that you'd like to share before we let you go?
You know what? No, I mean, I think I can close with basically letting everybody know that, promote equality and inclusion. Always stay true to the morals and values of your community. There's obviously it's an ugly world we live in, and sometimes the ugliness can influence people, and so I feel like if you stay true to yourself and your heart and live by the morals of values and promote equality and inclusion and allow yourself to explore new opportunities that the world has to offer, that'll help you discover new things. That would definitely make you a better person.
I like it. All right. So one final thing. This is our closing question that we ask everybody. And this kind of speaks to, some of what we've just been talking about. I came up with this question, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. And mostly it was just to kind of let, I think, our able-bodied friends know what kind of challenges we're up against day to day. And if they can kind of get an idea from this one question, it might lead them to kind of understand a little bit more about the rest of the things. But it's turned into, it starts great conversations within our community. And I think it does kind of, enlighten our other friends and loved ones that haven't come to disability yet. But it's a simple question. And that is, how long does it take you to put on your pants, shoes, and socks?
It takes me about maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right.
I knew Zimri was going to be on the fast side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I'm only like,
It's anywhere from, what's that?
Being disabled for, what is this now, 30 some years. It just creates I've created a good
routine, right?
Yeah, good pace on being able to adapt. And so I said about 5 minutes, I could put my prosthetic, my pants in or even maybe less, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm
I was going to
crazy.
say, after those races, you got to be faster than 5 minutes. You don't got 5 minutes to burn.
Honestly, it might even be 3 minutes, to be honest. I may be just stretching a little bit, but yeah, it's about three.
We won't hold you to it. We won't hold you to it.
Right? We're gonna have to do a video now.
Right?
Changing.
Your wife can time you.
Yeah. Before I asked it the first time here on the show, I timed myself. I'm at 7.5.
All right.
A solid 7.5.
Solid 7. Yeah, if we're talking race transition, I could probably knock it out sooner than that.
Situational. That's absolutely
right.
Situational speed.
All right. Well, thank you for spending time with us. Good luck in your love and your sport and your career and all of that good stuff. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me and letting me share a little crumb of tools that I might be able to help people out there.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
I think it's even worse now because, they give me a roller coaster to run around town in, and I basically am just like trying to find the biggest curb to jump off of.
Right. You're like, I know I can return myself from hard things, so I'm going to pay.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
Well, that was an awesome story, hanging out with Zimri. He's definitely inspirational. I love his attitude. I love the piece of bread analogy. That will stick with me for a while. So.
You don't know what the little thing that is going to kind of switch your way of thinking, that paradigm shift. Yeah.
Right. I mean, for everybody, it's different, and it's beautiful to see how messages are delivered to each kind of person. When he was talking about that, I was thinking about when I had my back surgery in 6th grade and had, was out to lunch with some medicines too. And I apparently told my mom to like move out of the way of the ducks and stuff. She told me that. I have no recollection, but that's always been kind of a good laugh, is that things you hallucinate
yes.
when you're medicated. So it's really interesting to hear somebody else say something and have it be so profound and be like, yeah, well, I told my mom to move out of the way. But that's amazing how much impact it had later too.
Yeah. The thing I always think about when I'm hearing most of our guests, they have those moments that kind of helps them turn that corner and accept and thrive after that. Right.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting.
But I always am concerned about the people that we don't know of who haven't maybe made that transition yet.
Right. Or like, what is the spark in the person that makes that possible? And how do we pass that forward to other people?
Well, yeah.
Like,
but
what part do we have in it? Hopefully. I mean, I think you should feel, Doug, that this show has a little part in igniting that in some people.
Well, that's my hope, obviously. But the problem is when you're isolated, how do I reach somebody who's isolated? Not necessarily just but we, and all these because that's what all these organizations are trying to do. You go down the list of Angel City and Triumph Foundation possibilities. That's their touchstone is reaching those people to show them that there's a way.
Right.
And I've heard the stories of people that it's taken them a while to find, that organization and that support group that's touched them and changed their lives. So, if anybody has any ideas on how you can reach the isolated, I'm sure I'm not the first person that's, noticed that there was this issue and how do we address it? But if somebody's come up with some good ideas.
It's an age-old question, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because there are so many reasons that people are isolated, either personal choice, life circumstance, personality,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be something as simple as, because we talk to our guests and we find out that a lot of them are outgoing kind of people. They're out doing, sports and rock climbing and, kind of those thrill-seeking type things like Kara, and all that. Right. But if you're more of a, kind of an intellectual and academic, where you like to read books and be inside, and you're not.
Oh, you mean me?
Perhaps.
I mean, honestly, because had we not reconnected, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. You know what I mean? I naturally like my dogs. I like being in my house. I like reading my books. I like pursuing my little, whatevers. But generally, I'm not going to be the one to be like, let me go find something to volunteer at. So bravo to you for pulling this introvert out, but introverts of the world unite and we will not bite you.
So what's coming up here? There's a Possibilities Mixer. Speaking of that, coming up this week, Inland Empire Disability Collaborative is tomorrow. So I'll see what happens there and going to update you on that next week. Dogs Night Out. That's my military dog handler friends.
That's so fun.
We have dinner once a month, so that's always fun. Abilities Expo, that's in a couple of weeks in Los Angeles and coming to a city near you a little bit later in the spring and summer. Angel City Sports, that's next Sunday. So we're heading over to that in LA. And the Triumph Foundation Adaptive Sports Festival is coming up in April. And they have another thing called rally and roll or something like that. It's all on our website at walkandrolllive.com. Just go to the events page and you just click on the pictures and it'll take you right through to get more information and register if you'd like. And any other resources, that's on our website too. Just look for the resources page. I don't think there's anything new today, but always putting up new stuff up there. We've got as much. And if you're thinking about something that you don't see on there, you're looking for something in particular and we don't have it, let us know. We'll help you run it down and get it up there. All right. Next week, we have Steve Campbell. I think that's who we're talking to next week. Steve Campbell. I met him through Triumph, I think one of the mixers that they do. And he's I can be sensitive about talking about age. I know men aren't as sensitive maybe as women, but he's an older gentleman. I don't know if he's older than me, but right around maybe me, but injured about 14 years ago. So, you know, he seemed like a very athletic guy too beforehand, and he's continued that. And so love to hear his story from that perspective, you know. So we'll do that next week right here on Walk and Roll Live. Thank you for listening. Anything before I close this out that you got there? No. Good? We
appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely.
And, we're glad you're here.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich from the Agyar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live Disability Story.
Walk and Roll Live.